get to the news. While speaking to reporters last week about the ongoing investigation into classified documents found at his home, President Biden defended his handling of the files that had been discovered and said he has, quote, no regrets. Well, technically, he didn't say it. President Biden's attorney announced on Saturday that FBI agents found 6 more classified documents during a search of his Delaware home. Oh my God, how long is this gonna go on? I don't have that many unclassified documents in my house. And how big is Biden's house? Every day there's a new update like, oops, just found some in the guest library. Also, you know they're on to you. Why wouldn't you get everything all gathered up? When you were in college and the cops knocked on your door, did you just flush some of the weed? I don't get it. Do all politicians do this? Is that why Jimmy Carter's still building houses? Just to store all his classified documents? I think they're worried I'm going to do my Carter. Former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo's new memoir is set to be released this week, and just to save time, the title of the book is 80% Off. Oh, don't look at these new houses. The Senate was set to reconvene this afternoon at 3 o'clock after a 20-day break because nothing says, let's get down to business like starting work at 3 o'clock on a Monday. 3 men in California were recently arrested for attempting to rob a cannabis dispensary after they led police on a high-speed chase and crashed into a solar panel. Man, that sounds like you asked your grandpa to make up a news story about California. A horse in Australia was recently spotted in the backseat of a car entering McDonald's drive-thru, but not leaving. So I can't tell yay on that joke or nay. Pretty good restraint. Mike Scollins wrote that joke, and we were very worried that the burger was going to have like a mane. Authorities in Rhode Island recently agreed to a child's request to DNA test leftover Christmas cookies for evidence of Santa Claus, and they're not going to like what they found out. Oh, uh-oh. Looks like Santa murdered a guy in '96. Public health officials in Massachusetts have discovered a new strain of gonorrhea that is resistant to most antibiotics. Massachusetts, where even the gonorrhea likes to fight stuff. You think you're better than me, penicillin? Finally, according to the latest numbers, Avatar: The Way of Water has made $2 billion at the global box office, which is incredible. Only $1 billion more for the movie to break even. CNN has reported that a lawyer for former Vice President Mike Pence found a dozen classified documents last week at Pence's Indiana home. Okay, so they're just in every home? That's the only thing that makes sense anymore. When you buy a new house and you move in, there's just classified documents sitting on the counter next to that half roll of paper towels and box of baking soda. President Biden is expected to spend the weekend at Camp David, and you know it's been a rough week when you start making your weekend plans on Tuesday. The Justice Department is reportedly considering plans to search other locations connected to President Biden as part of its investigation into his handling of classified documents, which could include everywhere from Cold Stone to TCBY. According to a new poll, nearly 60% of New York voters think Republican Congressman George Santos should resign, while according to him, 180% say he shouldn't. That's his poll. That's his internal polling. A newly surfaced video appears to show New York Congressman George Santos saying that he survived an assassination attempt. I guess we can't be surprised. There's always someone gunning for you when you're the star of the volleyball team at Baruch College. Former FBI official Charles McGonigal was arrested over the weekend on charges of money laundering and violating sanctions against Russia while working with a Russian oligarch. But remember, under our system, McGonigal is innocent until Trump calls him a good man. South Carolina woman recently used winnings from a scratch-off lottery ticket to purchase a Powerball ticket and won $150,000 in what financial experts are calling still a smarter investment strategy than crypto. Candy company Mars announced yesterday it will replace its so-called M&M spokes candies in upcoming ads. Luckily, the green ones got another gig lined up. You melted in my husband's hands. Authorities in Spain recently raided a tobacco factory accused of exploiting workers and seized $41 million worth of leaves and cigarettes. And to teach them a lesson, they're going to make them smoke every last one of them. Should make whoever wrote that smoke the joke. Roll it up. And finally, it's Scollins. Thank you. Wally went back to let me know who wrote it. He wanted to make sure I could shame him by name. Mike Scollins. If you're watching, which you probably aren't, go smoke your joke. And finally, after Disney World Splash Mountain officially closed yesterday, containers of water from the ride are being sold on eBay, including one listing for a 4-ounce bottle for $4, which is still way cheaper than buying a water at Disney World. Former Vice President Mike Pence's lawyer reportedly found close to a dozen classified documents last week at Pence's Indiana home, and when Pence heard that, he stayed white as a ghost. That's right. Mike Pence's lawyer reportedly found close to a dozen classified documents last week at Pence's Indiana home. Man, this is starting to feel like the beginning of the pandemic. You hear about one case, then another, and before you know it, we're all going to be locked in our apartments, wiping down our mail, terrified that some classified documents are going to get in. The Justice Department has now launched an investigation into the dozen classified documents found at former Vice President Mike Pence's Indiana home, and more specifically, why was Joe Biden keeping them there? I like to spread it out. The Senate Judiciary Committee held a hearing yesterday into Ticketmaster's recent mishandling of Taylor Swift concert tickets, and let's just say we're kind of glad we weren't there.
I'm the problem. It's me. She's cheer captain, and I'm on the bleachers.
We know all too well.
Ugh. It's like when your mom tries to impress your friends. Your father cheated on me, but I'm just going to shake it off, right, kids? House Speaker Kevin McCarthy told reporters yesterday that if the Ethics Committee finds that New York Congressman George Santos broke the law, quote, then we will remove him. So I guess it's up to the chairman of the Ethics Committee. Oh, no, it's George Santos. In a new interview, Pope Francis said he doesn't mind criticism and said it, quote, helps you grow and improve things because nothing says you're open to change like still speaking Latin. The FDA yesterday proposed new guidelines that would limit lead levels in processed baby food, a real surprise to parents who thought the current limit was any. Hardly any lead. Netflix said yesterday it plans to start cracking down on password sharing in March, which only gives you a couple of months to find something on Netflix worth watching. You guys want to try Sad Norwegian Detective? Apparently there's 8 seasons. He keeps getting sadder. The makers of the beer Natural Light have announced a new logo and can. Incidentally, Natural Light is what their customers fear most. Ah! Shut the door! And finally, a Canadian artist recently earned the Guinness World Record for largest spice painting after she used turmeric, paprika, and clove to paint a 900-square-foot butterfly. It was supposed to be 1,200 square feet, but then she sneezed. It's a very, very dumb joke. According to a new report, the Justice Department was prepared to obtain a warrant if President Biden did not agree to last week's search of his Delaware home. Oh, he's not the kind of guy who won't let you in. He's the kind of guy who won't let you leave. Come on, guys. One more Michelob. I'm going to get out my guitar. New York Mayor Eric Adams told reporters yesterday he does not believe asylum seekers should qualify for the same protections that require the city to provide shelter to homeless people. In related news, the Statue of Liberty walked into the Hudson River. New York Congressman George Santos gave his first floor speech yesterday and quoted former President Ronald Reagan, or as Santos calls him, Dad. My living dad. Former President Trump has reportedly begun texting. This news first reported by Stormy Daniels. A throwback. Trump has already reportedly stopped picking up calls from numbers that are not in his contacts, which is surprising, since you'd think he'd jump at the chance to pick up a call that says scam likely. I think you and I are gonna have a lot in common. Scam likely. That was a Secret Service name. The Transportation Department has announced that it is in the early stages of its investigation into Southwest Airlines' handling of flight cancellations during last month's holiday season, and should be done by the time everyone makes it home. A new study suggests that Earth's inner core may have stopped turning and could go in reverse. Shouldn't have gotten the vaccine. A passenger on a Emirates flight to Dubai recently gave birth mid-flight. Not to be outdone, a passenger on Spirit got pregnant! I just used a technique called Amy Poehlering the punchline. And finally, authorities in Connecticut are looking for a thief who recently stole 2 designer bags and a hairless cat, or as the thief believed, 3 designer bags. Oh! That was a monologue, everybody.